Hey guys, we are working on subtracting integers today, and um, if you have not done the adding integer part, then I need you to do that first, okay? Because in order to subtract integers, you have to know how to add them. So a couple of years ago, I had a group of students that said, Miss Day, we get this, but we just keep forgetting. And so they came up with a way to remember, and ever since then I've showed this to every group and they've really liked it. So I'm going to teach the same thing to you. I'm going to try to get my camera here centered. All right, so let's look at problem number 1. It says -6 minus 5. Well, I don't want to try to do that, so I'm going to leave the first one. I'm going to change the sign to the opposite here, which makes this a plus sign. And then I'm going to change this sign to the opposite, which makes this a negative. Okay, so the problem was -6 minus 5. Now I've changed it to -6 plus -5. Well, in the last few lessons that you've done, you have already learned how to add integers. So we know that a negative plus a negative is actually addition. And so we're going to add 6 plus 5, which gives us 11. And both signs are negative, so it's going to keep that negative sign. So our answer to that is going to be -11. Now we call this the loo strategy. Um, all the kids always like saying we're using the loo strategy. If you are working on this and using this strategy at home, I want to see on your papers that you turn in the LOO somewhere on your paper. It may be you write it above every single problem. It may be that you write it at the top of the paper. Now, what's going to happen if you're not careful is these subtraction problems, if you have, say, this whole page of subtraction. So if you have a whole page of subtraction problems, then you're going to get to where you use loo all the time. But when they throw a subtraction and addition in, you got to be really careful, because if you're not careful, you will end up using the loo strategy on addition, and you don't need to do that. Okay, addition is the way you've been doing it the last several days. Subtraction problems, you're just going to use the loo strategy with subtraction. Okay, so let's do another one. Let's look at this one. We've got -3 plus, no, I'm sorry, -3 minus 8. So I'm going to leave the -3. I'm going to do the opposite here, which means change that to addition. And I'm going to do the opposite here. I have a +8. I'm going to change it to a -8. So a negative plus a negative is adding. So 8 plus 3 is 11. And they're both negative, so I'm going to keep the negative sign. Now remember, there's 2 different strategies you can do for adding. If you have been drawing the number line, continue to draw that number line. If not, then I'm going to put this at the top, because really when I'm subtracting integers, it's the same thing as adding integers after I've done the loo strategy. So if I have plus plus or minus minus, I'm going to add the numbers and keep the sign. Okay? And if I have a positive negative or a negative positive, I am going to subtract the numbers and take the sign of the greatest absolute value. Okay, so let me go over that one more time. If I have a positive positive and I'm adding, I'm going to add them and keep the positive sign. If I have a negative negative and I'm adding, I'm going to add them and keep the negative sign. If I have a positive negative with adding integers, I'm going to subtract them, and I'm going to take the sign of the largest absolute value. If I have a negative positive when I'm adding integers, I'm going to subtract them and take the sign of the largest absolute value. All right, let's do one more down here just because it's a little bit different. I'm going to leave, because this is subtraction, I'm going to leave this one. I'm going to do the opposite, so I'm going to change the sign to addition. And I'm going to do the opposite here and change this to a plus sign. So now I go up here and use this strategy where I'm adding integers, and I have a negative plus a positive. Well, negative plus a positive tells me that I need to subtract. So 13 minus 7 is 6. And then I'm going to take the sign of the biggest absolute value. So the absolute value of -7 is 7. The absolute value of 13 is 13. This is the larger one. That is a positive number, so the answer is just 6. If you have any questions, make sure you send me a message on Dojo or inbox me on Canvas, and I'll help you answer any of those questions. Go ahead and do a practice problem or two off of the screen. That would be great. And be ready to talk to me online on Monday. See you guys.